Hello, and welcome to today's video. We have a new repair in the lab today, as you can see behind me. We have a new Dell gaming computer that came in. This computer stopped displaying for this customer, and we're going to be diving into why the computer stopped displaying and how we can fix it. This customer is a CPA and really needs to have their data backed up and extracted from the computer. So that is where we're going to start. We are going to try to get a system image off of this computer and get all the customer's data backed up. So let's get started. So to get started, I've got this computer hooked up to my KVM switch. I've got my HDMI and USB cable as well as power plugged in. Let's go ahead and turn on this computer, take a look on the monitor, and see if we can get this thing to come up for us. Alright, so the computer did come up on the monitor. However, it is showing us an automatic repair screen. So this is an indication that the computer is suffering from an OS failure, and that's usually caused because of an update that perhaps failed, or the computer had shut down during an update and thus caused the computer to show a corrupted operating system. There are other explanations as to why this is happening, but most common what we tend to see is related to Windows updates. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in our TDS MRI and try to perform a data extraction. Alright, so it's been a couple times since I've been trying to get this computer to stay on. It keeps having this blue screen of death, and we need to get the data off the computer before we can proceed. So I think what we're going to do is, instead of using the TDS MRI, we're just going to open up the computer and extract the drives and take them over to the tech bench and see what's going on with them and see if we can get the data off that way. Alright, so let's get started with the computer's teardown. To start off, we have to remove this side panel, and to do that, there's going to be two screws holding it together. There's going to be one screw right there, and then there is one screw at the bottom right there. So let's go ahead and get those removed. They appear to be Phillips heads, so let's go ahead and use our Phillips screwdriver and get these screws removed, pop off the side panel, and take a look inside. Once we have the two screws removed, we should just be able to slide this panel back and remove it. Just like that. So let me set this down. Okay. Wow, this computer is very dusty. But all we need to do is get the hard drive out, so let's go ahead and do that. Hard drive is located right here, and holding it together is going to be two Phillips screws, one right there, and then one right there, and then we should be able to pop this hard drive out. We do need to remove these two cables though, so let's do that as well. There we go. Okay, so let me get these screws removed. Let's get this hard drive over to the tech bench and take a look at the drive itself. Here's a look at the hard drive before we go over to the tech bench to analyze it. This is a standard 3.5-inch desktop mechanical hard drive. It is super dirty, and we're going to clean it up before we take it over to the tech bench. Alright, so the drive looks much better now. It's all clean and ready to go. So let's get this popped into our docking station. We're going to be using Bay 1. And boom. Let's get the cover put back on. And let's see what comes up. Here we are on the monitor, and the drive did populate for us. It is this data drive right here. These first two hard drives are what's currently installed on my computer, and then this WD My Passport external hard drive is what we're using to migrate the data to. Now, this drive coming up as a data drive is an indication to me that there is a secondary drive in that computer that is going to be the main drive or the Windows C drive that contains all the user data. So I'm going to go back and take a look on that computer and see if I can locate it. I did not see a secondary mechanical drive, so there might be an SSD installed. So I'm going to start the backup here so that we have an image of this drive. In the meantime, while this is going, let's go ahead and locate the secondary drive. So my suspicions were correct. So after removing the graphics card, I was able to see that there is an M.2 drive installed right there. So let's get this drive out too. This is what's going to be containing the majority of the user data. All right. Okay, so here's a look at the M.2 I got pulled out of the computer. It has a pretty thick thermal pad attached to it. I don't think I've ever seen a thermal pad this thick attached to an M.2 drive before. So that's pretty cool. Now, a little bit of information about this drive. This is an older M.2 drive, and the way that I know that is because it's got the two notches right there. So this is a SATA M.2 drive. The modern M.2 drives are the PCIe NVMe drives. Those have one notch, so That's just a little bit of fun fact about this drive. Let's get this drive prepped and installed into our SATA M.2 reader, and then let's take a look at the data structure on the tech bench. So here's the M.2 plugged into the M.2 reader and connected to the tech PC. It's all ready to go. And on the monitor, we can also see that the drive is populating right here. This drive is basically completely full, and we're going to be migrating its data off onto the external hard drive in preparation for a data migration. This customer ended up bringing in a new computer, so we're going to be setting up the new computer for them and also migrating their data from these two drives onto it as well. So let's jump into the new PC setup. All right, so here is the customer's new computer. This is also a Dell gaming tower, so we're going to be setting this up for them. So let's go ahead and hop over to the monitor. All right, so to start off the new PC setup, the first thing we have to do is run all the updates and make sure that the system is fully up to date. So there is going to be some crucial updates anytime that you first power on a new computer. So I strongly recommend to make sure that all the updates are taken care of, the drivers are installed, and firmware or BIOS updates are also installed. And I'll show you how to do the BIOS and firmware updates here in a moment, as they do not typically show up in the normal Windows Update application under settings. So once we have all these complete, and then for the final run of the updates, I will show you how to do those. Nothing to worry about, that was just a driver installing for the graphics card, so yeah. So while Windows Updates is running in the background, to speed up the service order, what I'm doing right now is moving the data that we pulled off of the drives earlier back onto the new computer. So we're just going to wait for this process to complete, and then we will finish up by running the final stages of Windows Updates. Alright guys, so let me show you how to do those BIOS and firmware updates. So in order to do that, you just need to go to the Windows Updater application just like this by just hitting the Windows button and typing in Windows Updates. It should open up in settings, and then what you want to do is you want to scroll down to where it says Advanced Options right here, and then click on Optional Updates, and then you will have them appear in categories. So in this particular case, we have 2, so we're going to select them, and then we are just going to click on Install. So that's how you do those updates. So this is going to conclude the video. This service order is now complete, so thank you guys so much for watching.